You know, by the early 1980s, Bob Seger was getting to be a better songwriter. He really got past the Against the Wind album. But this song, A Motorcyclist's Dream, talking about the freedom of the open road where anything can happen, sometimes good, sometimes bad. So today we're looking at the big single, Roll Me Away, which came out May 10th, 1983, off the album The Distance. At 4 minutes and 39 seconds is one of Seger's longest singles of the era, and was used as his opening song on the Face the Promise tour in 2006-07, his first tour in a decade. According to Bob, the song was inspired by a motorcycle trip he took to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. He noted, "I wanted to do that for a long time. It was fascinating being out. The first night it was 42 degrees in northern Minnesota. The second it was 106 in South Dakota, and all I had on was my shorts, and my feet were up in the handlebars to keep them boiling on the engine. It was just silence and feeling nature." Now, the key Rolling Stone critic Dave Marsh described it as an anthem song and considered it Seger's best single. Marsh interprets the song as being about leaving a shattered home for a life that has to be better, though it never quite is. Now, what helps here is the producer by Jimmy Ovine, who does a great job with the story song aspect of the chanson. Now, Marsh elaborates that the narrator of the song has lost his love and so goes off on a cold and lonely journey where he lets his frustrations and confusion congeal into one sad cry that is all his fate and what was happened to the whole crazy mess of the world in which he did live in. He sings that he plans to straighten things out for as long as he's searching, but at the end he admits the only next time will they be able to get it right. Marsh feels that Roy Bittan's piano chords drive home the point that the time for Wild Rockers to settle down. LA Times critic Richard Crommelin says that the song Seger uses in the song uses the Continental Divide as a metaphor for confronting questions of right or wrong, allowing him to shake off his spiritual malaise. Cashbox called it the most powerful Springsteenish piano-based hymn and said it's fitting that Seger only finds personal freedom at the Great Divide. Now, classic rock history critic Janie Roberts rated it Seger's all-time best song, noting some influence on Bruce Springsteen. Now, this really was well before Born in the USA. So the first cousin to Springsteen is Bob Seger and vice versa. So I think it really opened the door for what Bruce Springsteen was trying to say, because Bob Seger basically, that open road type of rock was something he perfected with this song. Now, Seger had lead vocals with Chris Campbell on bass and Craig Frost on organ, Roy Bittan on piano, Michael Boddicker on synthesizer, Bodie Hall on percussion, Russ Kunkel on drums, and Waddy Watchell on guitar. Jimmy Ovine as producer, of course. Went number 27 in U.S. Billboard Top 100 and 13 on the mainstream rock charts in '83. Now, the song has been used in mass media in various ways. It has been used by Mascar and Fox in the closing credits of the 2003 Dodge Sabre 350 and the 2006 Pepsi 400. The song is also featured on the popular Armageddon soundtrack. In addition, the song is played in its entirety in the final scene and closing credits of the '85 film Mass, starring Cher and Eric Stoltz. Well, pretty well the characters in Mass, the bikers, and especially Cher, are kind of, the type of fans that would get into this song. It was also the closing chanson from the '84 film Reckless, as Aidan Quinn and Daryl Hannah drive off on Quinn's motorcycle. Now, we're going to look up at the lyrics here, ladies and gentlemen. Remember I told you before, on Main Street, he couldn't finish off the song in the way I think the fans wanted, but in here he did. Took a look down the Westbound Road. Right away I made my choice. Headed out on my big two-wheeler. I was tired of my own voice. Took a beat on the Northern Plains and just rolled that power on. 12 hours out of Mackinac City. Stopped at a bar to have a brew. Met a girl who we had a few drinks, and I told her what I decided to do. She looked out the window a long, long moment, and she looked into my eyes. She didn't have to say a thing. I knew what she was thinking. Roll me away. Won't you roll me away tonight? I too am lost. I feel double-crossed, and I'm sick of what's wrong and what's right. We never even said a word. We just walked out and got on that bike, and we rolled. And we rolled clean out of sight. We rolled across the high plains, deep into the mountains. Felt so good to me, finally feeling free. Somewhere along a high road, the air began to turn cold. She said she missed her home. I headed on alone. Stood alone on a mountain top, staring out the Great Divide. I could go east, I could go west. It was all up to me to decide. Just then I saw a young hawk flying, and my soul began to rise. And pretty soon, my heart was singing. Roll me away. I'm going to roll me away tonight. Got to keep rolling, got to keep riding, keep searching until I find what's right. And as the sunsets faded, I spoke to the faintest first starlight. And I said, next time we'll get it right. Come on, roll me away. So, ladies and gentlemen, Bob Seger, no denying he was a romantic. And I don't think he had as many romantic relationships like other rock stars, but for what he did, I think what he tried to do with the song is talk about something that was open to everybody, the open road. Because the open road, being a car or a motorcycle, has it together. But the Distance album, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about this in a second. Probably one of the most underrated albums, and of course the lead single was "Shame on the Moon," which basically was one of Seger's biggest hits, which was number 2 on the Billboard 100 and number 1 on Adult Contemporary and 15 on Country. And of course, the other big song from that was "Even Now," which was released from the single, went number 12 and a lofty number 2 on the mainstream rock charts. And of course, he's fanned his favorite writer, because he was praising so much. Dave Marsh said it was another anthem of perseverance. So from 82 to 83, this was against what Against the Wind was teaching us. And like I said, it goes under that what I call biker rock or heartland rock, where it could mean a lot to different people. Now, ironically, the Distance, ladies and gentlemen, they only had 9 songs, but they have those big 3 hits. And kind of the front cover of the album kind of shows what Seger is thinking about. It looks to be either a sunrise or sunset, depending on what motif you're looking at. But Seger was pretty well as big as he was ever going to be by this time the Distance came out. And although he's had Like a Rock and Old Time Rock and Roll was re-released right after because of Risky Business, he was becoming kind of the second hand of Springsteen. If you flip the coin, you get a Bob Seger. Flip the coin again, you get a Bruce Springsteen. And one of our posters on the group, they basically said, there's no bad Bob Seger song. I tend to agree. I had never heard any bad Bob Seger song. Sometimes it didn't really meet what it doesn't sound like a hit type of aspect, but I think a lot of people look at that album, The Distance, as their favorite album because 3 of his strongest cuts ever. And those 3 songs are great in concert as well. Just like the Eagles, you had 3 to 4 big hits on every album, and Against the Wind had, a few big hits, but not as much as what they call crossing over to country and adult contemporary and stuff like that. So again, tremendous. Roll Me Away again if you're a motorcycle fan. This is a song for you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here with our Behind the Tracks look at the Bob Seger oeuvre, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share. And we're nearing 2 million hits on the channel, nearly 4,000 subscribers. So keep the numbers going, share with your friends. I'd like to get past the 4,000 and 2 million mark by the summer. And like I said, roll me away. Have a good one. And don't forget, keep your stick on the ice. Bye.